morning. I'm out here moving hay in the work truck, so I'll try to make this real quick. I'm driving down the dirt road. I was thinking about a scripture, hope deferred makes the heart grow sick. And I was thinking about how when the disciples, Jesus told them, go to the other side, get in the boat and go to the other side. They were acting on a word. And they probably in their mind, because we have imagination as humans, they probably just saw themselves getting in the boat, doing a little bit of rowing, doing a little bit of sailing, and coming to the other side. But a storm came up. A storm came up that just was swamping the boat. And Jesus was sound asleep in the boat. They finally woke him up saying, "Master, do you not care that we're going to perish, that we're going to die? Do you not even see? Do you not even have any care?" And I think that's the same thing in our lives a lot of times, how God will give us a word. He'll give us a promise, give us something to do, and say, go to the other side. And it might take a long time, and as things take a long time, just like Abraham, God giving him a promise of a child. This road's rough. He knew that God's promise was faithful. He knew that this was going to happen, and it gave him a vision, but he tried to make things come about in his own way. And sometimes that waiting period is the storm. When you know that God has promised something, that waiting period can feel like a storm. But God is faithful. Whatever he promised you, whatever his instructions were to you, on the very first day that he told those disciples to get in the boat and go to the other side, he had plans for them to go over. And sometimes when we get in those storms, we need to realize that we're not in it by ourselves. We've got a man sleeping in the boat. Just need to wake him up in prayer, remind him, you told us to go to the other side. We're being swamped, and we can't do this on our own. And Jesus sat up and he spoke to the wind and to the waves, and he calmed them. And immediately the boat was at the other side. I think that sometimes the disciples didn't even realize how close to the other side that they were, because the storm was so intense in their life. They probably were still looking at the waves and the wind, and they did not realize that they were almost to the other side. So if you're going through a storm today and you feel like the disciples, or you feel like Noah, who was in the ark and who was there for a long time, Noah couldn't see out. That boat was absolutely where he couldn't see out. And he sent out a dove. And that dove went about the first time and didn't bring back any promise at all. And he waited. A week later, he sent that dove out again. And that time it brought back a freshly plucked olive branch. Even though Noah could not see outside, he couldn't see whether the mud had dried up, the waves, he couldn't see exactly what was going on. He was able to see that little promise, that little sprig of green hope, that little olive branch. And I know that whenever Noah went into that boat, there was probably forests, and now they were all gone. And when he came out, things looked sparse. They looked like there wasn't much left, but there was that little sprig of a new olive grove. And that's what happens in our lives a lot of times. God will give us a promise, and he'll say, I want you to go to the other side. And in the midst, in that little dash in between this point and that point, we start to lose hope. But because we lose hope, that doesn't nullify the promise. When God gives us a promise, He is faithful and true, and He will cause it to come to pass. Getting ready to dump this hay, so I'll just say have a good day. Everybody be blessed, and I pray that today your hope would be in His promise, in Him, that you would believe Him, that you would remember the things that He's spoken to you. Love you guys.